Anyway, what I wanted to tell you about that's new and exciting is a solo piece that I created and is toured now in Berlin and Cologne and Chicago, Austin, Seattle, other places. That's just off the top of my head. Anyway, it's a solo performance called Cage Shuffle.
Yeah, I took a peek at the website.
Oh, you did? Okay, because
Sure.
the website even, www.cageshuffle.com.
I don't think you have to say www anymore.
Only me, who's 500 years old.
Yeah.
So, Cave Shuffle.
Cave Shuffle.
Yeah.
So it's a solo dance thing.
Well, what it is
Or movement.
Cage created a piece in the
John Cage.
John Cage, the composer, philosopher, visual artist, hugely influential figure and art makers of the latter part of the 20th century.
Yeah, no doubt.
Huge. So John Cage, one of his millions and millions of projects was a piece called Indeterminacy, which he created in the late 50s. And one part of it is that he wrote 90 stories and he recorded them. And when he recorded the stories, and maybe I'll give you an example of a few, the form that he put them in was every story is exactly 1 minute long. So if it was a more lengthy, elaborate story, you had to talk lightning fast to make it record in exactly a minute. Or a smaller story, he would put spaces in it so that it always timed out every story exactly a minute.
Wow.
Okay, so what I've done is taken about 30 of my favorites of the 90 stories. They're very well. I'll give you I'll read a few, speak a few of them on the air, so we can get a sense of it. But they're very funny and they're very insightful and they're very tricky in a good sense of sometimes seemingly simple but have very resonant meaning to them. So I took about let's say 25 to 30 of those, and I put them on a playlist on my iPhone. And so what I do when I do the performance is I have I have an earbud so that I'm listening to my iPhone, and I hit shuffle. And so the stories come up in random order. I put like a 10-second pause between each one. They come up in random order. I don't know which one is coming. Whichever one comes up, it'll go in my ear, just like when you listen to your iPhone. But I will speak it as I hear it. So I will be speaking these stories.
They're not memorized.
They're not memorized. I hear them and speak them as I hear them. As I'm speaking them in their random order, I'm doing a dance at the same time. The dance, though, is not random. The dance moves are a fixed sequence of movements, so that the way the stories and the words, where they hit up against the movement, is different every time I perform it, because I'm saying different stories in a different order and doing the same dance. The whole thing's about half an hour. So it's a kind of it took me about a year to master it, where I could speak these words, and sometimes lightning fast.
Because like I was going to just say, you said some of them were super fast.
So
that's amazing.
So on the radio you can't see the dance, although you can see the whole thing I'm describing, because all you got to do is go to cageshuffle.com, and on the part of the website that says video is a video of an entire performance, which is not long. The whole piece is about 40 to 50 minutes long, that I did at Harvard University last March, and I made a decent video of that one. And so that's the one I have on my site, on my website.
And when you put these readings on shuffle, there's no chance that it's going to repeat though during one of the performances, is there?
No, because it's on shuffle, I have enough of them so that I will complete the dance before we've gone back and started repeating any. Because, with shuffle, it won't repeat till it's played all of
I wasn't sure.
All of them.
Sometimes if you put on shuffle, it might repeat something.
Right. No, at least in my experience, it doesn't start repeating till it's played all of them once.
That makes sense.
And so I haven't had any repeats yet. So just for the fun of it, I'm going to do what I do in my dance, which is I will find the playlist, and then I'm going to hit shuffle. And this is this is the half of the piece that you can do on the radio. I'll hit shuffle. I'll just do a couple of them.
Can always videotape something.
Oh, okay. If you want to see it.
This might be kind of cool to do a little segment like that. I actually.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. So, should I hit shuffle and I'll do 2 or 3? Then, if you want me to do the dance as well.
Well, no, you don't have to do that. I mean, it's up to you. That's up to you.
That's optional. Okay. Well, here are a few of the stories. Let's start with that. Oh, here's a fast one coming up. I just saw that. It's a good practice for me. I once had a job washing dishes in the Bluebird Tea Room in Carmel, California. I worked 12 hours a day in the kitchen. I washed all the dishes, pots and pans, scrubbed the floor, washed the vegetables, crates of spinach, for instance. If the owner came along and found me resting, she sent me out in the backyard to chop up some wood. She paid me $1 a day. One day I noticed that some famous concert pianist was coming to town to give a recital. I decided to finish my work as quickly as possible in order to get to the concert without missing too much of it. I did this. As luck would have it, my seat was next to that of the lady who owned the Bluebird Tea Room, my employer. I said, "Good evening." She looked the other way, whispered to her daughter. They both got up and left the hall. It was a fast one.
It was great. But that was only a minute. Was that a minute?
That was exactly a minute.
That was?
They're all exactly a minute.
Yeah, you said that, but that seemed like half a minute or something.
Well, you can look. You can time it. 4 years ago, I was talking to Hidegazu Yoshida. We were on the train from Donaueschingen to Köln. I mentioned the book by Harrigal called Zen and the Art of Archery. The melodramatic climax of this book concerns an archer hitting the bullseye, though he did so in total darkness. Yoshida told me there's one thing the author failed to point out. That is, there lives in Japan at the present time a highly esteemed archer who's never yet been able to hit the bullseye, even in broad daylight. And they go on like that. I don't know if you want to hear any more, but that's the idea. They're all pretty amusing and interesting,
must be a lot easier to, or does it get harder again just to read it without doing the dance moves? The choreography? No,
it's easier to. Once I can do it and dance at the same time, doing it without dancing is sort of like piece of cake.
Sure, I'm sure. Yeah.
Although I have to do all of it often, so that I don't
lose it,
forget it, and lose it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My the sort of latter, the second part of the piece, which is shorter than the first part where I tell the 25 stories, I put on a composition by Cage. I have a record player on stage, and I put on a little portable record player.
Oh, yeah.
And I put on a record of the John Cage composition called Dream, of a portable record player on stage. And then what I do is then I go back and start at the top of the dance again and dance through a portion of it a second time through to the Cage music. And a couple reasons why I like to do that is, one is you're seeing the same dance again, but to music instead of me saying stories. And it looks like a completely different dance. So it's kind of beautiful to see how different movement looks when there's a different oral experience going on.
Right.
Suddenly it's the movement has Dream is a kind of quite a beautiful piece. And so it has sort of emotional import that the dance has, that it didn't have prior to having this underscoring of music. But this coming March 8th and 9th. I'm going to be doing the piece at Princeton University, and the fabulous contemporary composer David Lang is going to, with a small ensemble group, is going to play the Cage music live. So it'll, instead of me doing it on my record player,
it takes on a whole new level.
Which I am very excited. I don't know what that'll be about.
Well, you will soon.
Yes,
it's only 6 weeks away or something.
Yes,
that's great. You and your partner, your wife, Annie B. Parson, you guys have been running a dance company for a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's sort of a hybrid of theater and dance.
Okay.
We've kind of existed in theater and dance venues for 26 years. Big dance theater. Yeah, started out, well, in the New York area. Dance Theater Workshop was our dance venue often, and theater venue often was Classic Stage Company at the time.
On 13th Street.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And then eventually, as dance and theater became more recognizable and less of a rarity, we found our way to venues that exist on that same cusp, or that comfortably present dance theater and dance theater. Like The Kitchen, like BAM. Been to BAM a bunch of times, and like Abrams Art Center, various New York venues, as well as doing a lot of touring.
Right.
But
sorry,
yeah.
Oh, and I was the campus. Is that just a typical? Is that like a place where they're receptive and where you're often invited?
You mean the university
setting?
Campus?
This
this solo piece, Cage Shuffle, has had a lot of touring, and I would say it sort of divides about 50-50 between performance venues
and the universities.
And the university setting. Because, knowing about Cage, it has a whole, I'm very hesitant to say academic component, but certainly universities have a real interest in turning students on to Cage from many angles, and so it's appealing in a university context. I would say
seems like you could just be a bard all year round.
Yeah,
with that kind of the kind of show you're doing.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I actually am going to be at Bard this summer with a different piece of work. A guy who also performs at BAM, a great physical theater maker named Jeff Sobel, and a great actor and magician named Steve Schiffo, and a great actor and everything maker named Trey Lyford. The three of us made a piece for St. Anne's Warehouse Theater called Elephant Room, a sort of hilarious comedic piece about three magicians. And we're making a new piece also for St. Anne's Warehouse Theater, and it's going to be rehearsing at Bard this summer.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I think it will premiere at Bard in early September. Then it'll go to the Philly Fringe Festival. So keep an eye out for it.
Sure,
I would love to say the name of it, but the name is sort of in the works.
Understood. Can you talk about the just process a little bit, Paul, about just how this current piece that you're excited about? I was going to say, make a joke myself, is the John Cage aspect of your show, the Cage part of your title, is attractive to the university, but I would imagine the shuffle is it demographically to the kids, because they're listening to, well, I don't even know if they're listening to iPods or right.
iPhones.
They're listening to music on their iPhones,
right? They may have transcended
maybe done that,
iPhone completely. Now there's probably some device which exists. Speaking of jokes, the thing when I do my spiel,
Mm-hmm.
because I do it the way I explained what I do in the piece, that I tell these stories that are on shuffle and dance at the same time. I actually explain that at the beginning of the performance, because people see you telling the stories and they see you moving, but it's fun for them to know that you don't know what story's coming next.
Right.
And this particular movement going with this particular story is a complete act of chance.
Right. I mean, people really dug when Elvis Costello, remember all those years back when
Yes.
Elvis did, sure, but that's come up, right? Elvis
Right.
Costello, the roulette wheel
Yes.
with all the songs,
Yes.
and he would spin it and
Yes.
whatever it, I mean, that's, that was a brilliant idea.
Yes.
I think he just went back and did it recently again.
Yeah.
For the first time since
Yeah.
the 80s or whenever he did that.
Yes. Yeah. So
Now
all
it needs a
he's got to
second reel,
do
though.
is do a dance, an elaborate dance at the same time, and then Elvis Costello will have ascended to my level.
That's right.
Which would be quite thrilling for him, I think.
I should think so. He hasn't done it. How do you conceive of this piece? Like, how does it get from nothing into where it's at?
Well, it's a really good question, and I don't entirely remember how this business got started of creating this piece this way. But there's certain things that I do know, which are that, there's a sort of seminal avant-garde theater company whose influence on, I would say, American, even mainstream culture, as well as certainly the downtown theater culture, is huge.
Right.
This company was called the Wooster Group.
Sure.
And one of the things, of the many innovative things that company did, was they started to put a earphone into your ear, into the performer's ear. And I've performed with them periodically. Put an earphone into your ear, sort of like if you're listening to your phone.
Isn't that wireless, though?
Yeah, they did it wirelessly, actually, yes, and would feed their actors the lines that way, because sometimes the director preferred the words coming out in a way that was more in a constructively discombobulating to the performer. That just the language would come at them and they say it right away before they would that would short circuit, perhaps the intent was to short circuit the sort of actorly side of a performer,
Cerebral
who wanted
side
to,
of it, or whatever. Yeah, the actorly way. I guess you're right.
Who maybe wanted to do it a certain way, or put this or that interpretation upon it, sometimes for reasons that had to do with the grand scheme of a piece. The director would want the words to just come into the actor's head just like in a stream like that. Anyway, it's a long way of saying what's called the in-ear device became a very, very useful tool for our company and for many, many companies, to be used in a variety of ways, not always as excitingly or innovatively as the Wooster Group did it, but the thing of feeding actors their lines in their ear had all kinds of positive and useful uses. So our company used that technique regularly. So
BDT?
I think, what's that?
The Big Dance?
Big Dance, yes.
Big Dance?
Big
Company?
Dance Theater would use that technique regularly.
You did?
Yeah, and I think that I put the John Cage stories in my ear, and I just started doing a dance for fun from something from our company. And what really struck me was, without any premonition, without any pre-planning, without any concept in advance, the way that the moves related to the language, this certain gesture seemed to be a perfect resonance with the language, with the words, with the ideas being spoken, that you would think I had put the two together with a conscious intention. But I hadn't. So I thought, holy cow, Cage, who always talked about all the kind of magical repercussions of chance.
Arbitrary.
Putting things together by chance means. This is kind of a very exciting example of
Right.
what Cage was talking about.
Huh.
So I just kept going and adding more and more and more until it became a full piece. But it's really a piece about chance connections between elements that are put together arbitrarily, or at least not wholly arbitrarily, but with no preconception in mind.
Mm-hmm. So, again, people can go to cageshuffle.com and find out where, see an example of this.
Well, they can see on the calendar
and see
all the places where it's going to be happening.
Mm-hmm.
They can see a video of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
They can see the tech rider so that they can bring me to their theater. They can see everything they need to see for me to do their birthday party or bar mitzvah. I'm kidding. About the birthday party and bar mitzvah, but I'm not kidding about always looking for new venues in which to perform the piece. Princeton is happening, and then...
Well, that's pretty, a lot of pedigree there, and you said Harvard. I mean, so maybe you're by, setting those lofty examples, you're going to intimidate others.
I would even stoop to doing it like Oxford and Cambridge. It's gonna, John
Oxford,
Cage,
Mississippi,
and Cambridge,
Massachusetts.
Cambridge, Missouri.
Is there a Cambridge, Missouri? I bet there must be.
I bet there is.
There's probably is.
In June, John Cage, one of his sort of most famous interludes, or well known, was that he was a professor at Black Mountain College in Asheville, North Carolina. Black Mountain was this kind of storied, mythical place where numerous sort of Buckminster Fuller, John Cage, Bill and Elaine de Kooning, all these kind of remarkable artists of the post-Second World War avant-garde in America all came together, and they're in this context of this completely radically conceptualized university called Black Mountain College, where I don't think there were grades, and I do know that it was also a working farm, so that every student had a job to keep the farm going. But anyway, this June 20th, Black Mountain is now Black Mountain Museum and Arts Center.
Okay.
And I'm going to be performing Cage Shuffle at Black Mountain.
Well, that's exciting, too.
I know.
When is that?
It's great. It's June 20th.
June 20th. Good time of year, too. To be in the blue smoke.
The blue. Wait. We were both thinking of the same. The Blue
Ridge
Mountains.
Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah.
Blue Ridge.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll know better once I've gone there and come back. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Right on the other side is Tennessee.
Okay.
So if you're, want to make a run for
to Nashville, right?
Well, that's pretty far. But what's the town that's on the sort of on the east side of Tennessee? It's one of the few. There's 3 cities.
Knoxville,
yeah. Because Memphis is right on the Mississippi on the other side. So.
July. I'm performing it in Italy, in Umbria, at the Spoleto Festival.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame to have to go to a beautiful part of Europe.
It's going to be. It'll be hot though. So
I think that's actually true.
Yeah,
very hot in Europe in the summers these days.
So, just be prepared.
Yeah,
for that.
Make sure to bring no clothing.
Right. Can you perform in the nude? Can you perform?
Yeah, I think this piece I could. I don't see any reason. Oh, well, let's see.
By nude we mean
the iPhone.
Overalls.
I would have to strap the iPhone to myself. But other than that,
well, I think this
I could. It would
done,
be really.
It's on shuffle. You don't need to actually touch anything, so you could do this through Bluetooth too.
That's true.
You could have the actual, media player, the iPhone or whatever off stage.
That's true. I've done it with Bluetooth once or twice when I did workshops and students had it.
For what the whole thing is about, you said half hour. Could you do about 25 these 1 minute?
Yeah,
and they're spread apart by the usual, few seconds in between.
So I'd call it a 40 to 50 minute performance.
Oh, okay. So, it's possible something could go awry with the Blue. As good as Bluetooth is, it's not hardwired.
Yeah.
Which is always more reliable.
Right.
So you're taking a chance for a little glitch.
Chance operations in the chance operations.
Yeah. Have you had any problem with that yet in one of your live shows?
Well, I've never done Bluetooth for a live show.
Or even a case where you always check the battery, make sure you get a full battery.
Yeah.
Like that you're fully charged.
I guess the only thing is if the volume of the in-ear device is really important, and
it doesn't fall out.
Fiddled with me. Yeah. There's a whole other component in terms of the listening, which is when Cage created this piece, as I say, he made 90 stories and he recorded them. Simultaneously, though, his collaborator, David Tudor, also a composer and famous pianist, David Tudor made a sound score for the piece in a completely separate studio, unrelated to where Cage was recording Cage Shuffle. Mm-hmm. Tudor played this score, which had a lot of very abrasive sound in it. Large gaps of silence, and then there'd be crazy stuff. And then Cage put those sounds score together with his speaking score. So when you listen to the Cage score, you'll hear him say when I was 14, I went downtown in Los Angeles, he'll be telling some story. He calls it Los Angeles. And and you'll hear this massive sounds in there. So I have to hear that when I have it in my ear.
Oh, I understand.
So
so
that sometimes is challenging.
Yeah, because that's loud.
It's loud and can be excruciating.
And can you remember where they are, those things?
You start after many, many, many performances to sort of unconsciously, instinctually.
An instinctual thing starts to take over, right?
Exactly. It's a little like a dog knowing they're about to be whacked in the head.
Do you abuse a dog?
I'm the dog.
Oh, in this case, that's right.
You're right.
And you're getting the whacking.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I wanted to tell you about. Do you have any questions about me?
Well, I've been asking, I think.
I think you have.
Yeah. So that's obviously been the central thing going on in your world in the last
Cage
bunch of months.
Shuffle, teaching, directing, and
where's the
performing.
teaching going on?
While I was up at Harvard performing, I taught there for a term. Mm-hmm. Now I'm teaching at NYU.
Oh, great.
And the other element is our company, Big Dance, just had a piece that went to the Old Vic in London, and then went to Berlin, and then went to Cal Performances in Berkeley. And its touring life's probably completed. It started at BAM, but it was called 17C. As in 17th century, because it was rooted in the diaries of Samuel Pepys, who wrote a diary for 10 years. Do you know Pepys from 1660?
I remember you telling me about this.
Oh, okay.
I think.
That's certainly possible.
I should have listened to our last,
thing. Well, that was quite a few years ago, but it's entirely possible that I was on the beginning end of the piece.
Yeah.
So we created the piece and performed it and toured it, and it finally finished at the end of 2018. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, my
I love
pleasure.
being on the show. I like every few years to have occasion to consider what I've been up to. Because
it does. You can kind of it gives you a platform to summarize. I guess that would be the thing. I have to keep checking because you get loud.
Oh, sorry.
It's like the whacking of the dog again. It's like, except I'm on the receiving end this time.
No, that's right.
I got the ear.
I'm totally sorry that I did get a little overexcited and whacked you in the head orally.
You're right. Which is where you're getting whacked.
Yeah.
From
when I do Cage Shuffle.
Tudor.
John Tudor.
John Tudor. Well, I appreciate it too because I'm getting I'm getting schooled to some degree also in on these things. I have some just living in New York City
Uh-huh.
and exposing myself to the arts over the years, you build up a certain amount of knowledge and experience around experimental works and dance and I have. But, it's interesting too because the American audiences and European audiences have very different perceptions of these things or ways in. I remember going to being in Paris my first time in 1987.
Uh-huh.
First night, my friend Emma took me to see Merce Cunningham.
Uh-huh.
And he performed, I forget the venue, but he performed, there had to be a few hundred people there.
Uh-huh.
A couple hundred. It was not big, I remember that. And he even performed. He was still...
Yes, he performed
right up to the
very,
end.
Very late into his life.
He was an old man then, in 87.
Yeah.
And he was still around for at least another 10, 15 years at least.
Yes.
I don't know when he died, but not that long ago.
No.
Maybe in the last 10 years.
No, you're right.
8 or 9 years.
Right.
So he performed, and at the end, I mean, I just, I couldn't believe the people went crazy. Yeah. Crazy applause, like screaming.
Yeah. Cage and Cunningham, their collaboration was, world famous, and I couldn't agree with you more about the intensity of the appreciation of the two of them in the European context. The way I'm aware of it is when I performed Cage Shuffle in Berlin and Cologne, the audiences were just hinging on every word of John Cage's that I spoke.
It's amazing.
They're just thrilled and fascinated by him. And Cage and Cunningham, again, in terms of pushing the limits of chance connections, the way they work together is Cage would compose a score for a Cunningham dance, but he would never perform the score for the dancers. So that when they first performed the piece, that's the first time the music and the dance would go together. So the dancers would perform the dance as they'd learned it, and the music would occur, but everybody, the dancers, the audience, Cage and Cunningham, all of them were hearing it all together for the first time as it was happening for the first time.
And the dancers must have been trained just to know how to work with that and
not be pulled off of what they were going to do,
right? Even
if a new sound score invaded their head.
Imagine if it did, and if that was, they just it would be completely sabotaged.
Right, and I'm sure there is a real sort of muscular strength required to perform a piece and not be pulled away from it by a new sound score.
Yeah, and we've been, raised with this idea, right, that music and dance and choreography go together.
Yeah, we dance to the music.
And usually to a beat.
Yes.
I guess, it's not always the case with avant-garde dance or, experimental types. But even ballet. And
Oops.
Oh, that sounds now like, you're ringing.
Yep. Hold on, folks. Don't go anywhere, listeners.
Oh, that's a phone that's on a wall.
I know. Isn't that something?
Wait, that's a sales call or something?
I'm sure it is.
I
can tell by the ring.
LED screen. Is that true?
Yeah. That's Uncle Fred's ring if I ever heard it.
Oh, Uncle Fred, yeah. He calls.
You know how he rings.
Sure.
How his ring sounds. So they were a very remarkable.
So were the audiences in Europe, could you identify like an age group primarily, were they people, older folks, or were they middle-aged? Were they kids?
I would say that
young people, married, professional, right?
Oh, man, I would say it was a pretty wide range.
Okay.
It wasn't as though it was a nostalgia trip. People that, I remember when John Cage first came to Germany and that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It wasn't sort of the elders, although there were certainly people like that there. It was a whole range from people in their 20s through to people as old as, say, the performer himself. Me.
I got you. Yeah. Because it just seems like, where is this education coming from? It's some of the just that where they know his work, whereas the average American, of course, has no idea. I don't know.
I think it has in part to do with the amount of venues, like that every
I guess that's true.
German, and I think in Western Europe anyway, and probably as true or more so in the East, most towns have theaters. And
but they're usually our town. Well, not in Europe.
I'm talking about in Europe.
But in Europe.
Why it is that the European audience might be more aware
of these
has
guys,
to do with
these folks.
These venues that are so prevalent throughout the whole country.
I wonder if
show a lot of different kind of work as opposed to American regional theaters, which are more regional theater fare.
I also wonder if it's the government, since they do subsidize so much art, that if that doesn't play a piece into why so many people, the average people, compared to here, where an average theater goer or arts person still might be more, familiar with conventional arts, but not so much in, alternate
I think so.
Or underground or however you want to describe it.
I
here
think
it's really exceptional. Some population in New York and a few other towns, but not by and large. I don't think it's as common.
I agree, and I think it has a lot to do with government subsidy to arts venues, allowing the curators to bring a greater variety of work, not just that which will absolutely sell out and thus sustain the theater, in which case it would be only the most high profile of whatever genre you want.
Right. Yeah.
So, that definitely
because we know
plays
here,
a
like
part
dance companies have to do these certain dances every year, or they have to do these particular dances in order to keep the subscribership happy, the board happy, bring in, regular ticket buyers, because these are familiar branded pieces that, that people have associations with already.
Yep.
It's very difficult to bring in new pieces.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So they could slip in a couple here and there.
Right.
But I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing. Certainly if you could you just open it up, you'd be able to really have many more choreographers working, making a living, musicians, people, that are creating this work, new work.
Well, that's why it's very fortunate for those New York dance and theater artists to have a little bit of access to the European venues. Mm-hmm. If you can inspire the interest of European presenters, then it's, and that again was something that really was championed by and initiated by the Worcester Group, that they were sustained at times by the fact that so many European venues wanted to present their work. And then the next generation of more innovative theater and dance makers were the beneficiaries of the Worcester Groups having blazed that trail to various European venues. And now the next generation of companies that have come alongside of and since the Worcester Group began are now also performing a lot in Europe. Mm-hmm. So it's a certain portion of the American art makers who are benefiting from being a part of the European system in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I just it sounds like really challenging. I mean, you've been around a long time, so I'm sure that's just been part of your success, or you've been in that regard anyway.
Yeah,
of creating those connections and those relationships. But just being around for 26 years is helpful.
Yes, yeah. We started first going to France. These waves come and go.
Yeah.
For a while we had a home in France and a few different theaters, and then France started to diminish, and then Germany came, and in a little bit of Italy, and you just move around. Not that we've had the level of touring that certain other companies have, but it's been a significant part of our enterprise.
Any other spots though, like that where there's a real love of it, not in like Japan or something?
Well, in the case of the Worcester Group, they were just in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I imagine the Japanese folks really love that. I mean,
Annie and I have
people
performed once Korea. My experience, Korea was more acting in the films of Bong Joon-ho.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
But we actually went to their theater academy, sort of their version of Juilliard, and we directed a play there. But certain companies have gone beyond just France and Germany. As I say, the Worcester Group's been to Japan and also Belgium and Brussels. There's the Kai Theater in Brussels. There's festivals in different places. But offhand I can't name them. But I would say it's a wider circle than just those countries.
Right. Well, it's been terrific. It's so much fun to talk to you. I mean, I just enjoy hanging out.
Totally, absolutely, me too, and so pleased that
see, there's no Bong Joon-ho.
Films. Well, yeah, Bong Joon-ho. There are no Bong Joon-ho movies coming
right now.
up.
Last time you were over, it was the latest one was just about coming out too. We talked about that.
Yeah,
that was. What was
that? Was Snowpiercer.
It was the one on the train.
Yeah, it was.
That was so
before that, it was the host.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right. He's a great
I've been
filmmaker.
following his movies. I've seen them all.
He just is in the process of finishing one in Korea, and then he says, "I'll be making another one."
Hollywood.
That you can be in. So I'm excited for that. In the meantime, I just did a small film. There's really good actors in it, though. There's an actress named Kate Lynn
Shield.
Yeah,
she was
an old
in friend.
It. Is she? Oh,
yeah.
Has she been on the show?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah.
so I did a
well,
film.
she's done a lot of. She was on House of Cards, for God's sake.
I didn't realize that. She's a wonderful actor.
She was. I'm sure. She's kind of crossed over into done a couple of. I think it's more television because my ex-wife was also on the same. She was on, I think, the same episode. I think they shared a car. In fact, seriously, I think they shared a car to the studio one morning
for House of Cards.
No. Yes.
High Maintenance?
No. Not High Maintenance, who, by the way, Ben was also on the show, the creator of High Maintenance, the dealer. He was on the show. He's a friend. I mean, I haven't seen him in a while. I shouldn't call him a friend, but we're friendly. I guess that's a better way. You and I are friends. Yeah. I would, but Ben is a nice guy, but he hasn't been back on. That's how we gauge who my friends are. But Caitlin is lovely. She's a very, very nice person, and I really like her. And she's a very talented actor.
She sure is. So I just did a film with her.
Okay.
And the third sort of,
I'm sure
it's mainly a trio in the acting.
Who's the director?
Third guy,
back up.
a visual artist named Brent Green. And the film is called. It's still in the process of being made.
Okay.
So keep an eye out, though. I would say
who's the other
within
person
the
in
year.
Do you remember?
The other person in it is a musician, and man, he was great. He's he's sort of an indie. I don't know, star. I don't know what the word is. Indie figure in indie music.
Okay.
His band is called Caliphone, and before that, he had the band called Red Red Meat. And his name is Tim Rotilli.
Oh, I don't know him.
And so it was Tim and Caitlin Scheel and myself and Brent Green, the guy who directed and wrote it. Also
he's in it. He acts in it too.
Yeah,
makes sense.
He's in it. And it's called All the Old Bells.
Oh, okay.
And it's, I think, going to be very, very unique and very.
I look forward
good.
to it. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, we'll definitely. What we can do is when that does start, hitting the. I guess it'll go through the festivals and all that first. He obviously missed this round.
Oh yeah.
As far as the big.
We're still making it.
I understand.
Yeah.
So maybe 2020.
Good. I'll come back.
I'm just guessing
and promote
that it'll be available. They'll start to try to get into the major festivals which will begin in about a year, right? Because Sundance is happening now. And it seems like a lot of these guys, they want to get it into the big three.
Yep. And
that's
helps.
how I
initially...
And it helps get distribution, right?
Yeah.
But it's amazing how Sundance is up here.
Yep.
And everything else is just...
And Sundance has been up there forever.
Oh, yeah, forever. But I didn't, really realize until the last few years, like how the Sundance, getting it, it's like, it's all about like a certain trajectory, right? The pedigree. If it's Sundance, it's imprinted on that, it's embossed, and then you get into a major distribution company, it's maybe an A24 or something like that, and company like that, and then just get a great package deal together. You get a lot of, but if you fall short of that, it's a real, it's a struggle. I mean, I guess South by or Tribeca, those are great festivals.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful, but it's a lot. Just getting into Sundance gives you such a big head start. It doesn't mean that all of those will get distribution.
No.
But,
it's
a good number of them do. But amazing how much of a leg up that is. Just getting it into Sundance, because it just gives you this unbelievable, head start. Anyway.
Well, I hope that's where
see.
We'll see it first.
Doesn't mean that a lot of other, it's still a lot of films to find and get seen, and that's all. But I'm was talking in broader terms. And then putting Caitlin Scheel or Paul Lazar in a film helps a lot.
And us together, can you imagine?
the chemistry.
Jesus.
Is there romantic
the viewership.
Yeah,
romantic.
Exactly.
No, I'm a creep, and she
you are?
Detests me.
Oh.
So
okay,
it's
typecasting.
Chemistry. It's chemistry of a kind.
No. You couldn't play creep.
Oh, well, we'll see. You'll have to see. I was very proud of my creepiness, actually, in this movie.
Oh, in this one? Oh, really?
Yeah, yes.
Oh, that's good.
Yep.
You don't get a lot of opportunities to do comedy, though, do you? Don't you enjoy doing comedy?
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what's
you're a little shy
funny
about
and
it.
What's not.
It's usually you're playing straight regardless. Generally, unless you're slipping on a banana peel,
right?
Or doing lady.
Oh, lady! A lady. Although, my feelings about Jerry Lewis, man.
Jerry Lewis,
genius.
Is that what? Oh, I wasn't doing.
Of
course I was. Yes.
I watched The Nutty Professor a while ago.
Right.
And if you want to understand the Trump phenomenon, watch The Nutty Professor.
Well, they're both men-child often, right?
It's Jekyll and Hyde story.
Oh, I see. Where's the Jekyll in the case of...
He plays this
Trump.
kind of goofy, endearing... lady professor, and then he takes a pill to make himself handsome.
Into the character's name again?
Transforms into what?
You just saw it. Come on.
Remember the character's name?
Oh my God, it's famous. But anyway, yeah. So
he's in what Jerry Lewis said was, I thought the audience would find the handsome character.
He was doing Dean Martin. It was supposed to be his
version
homage.
Of Dino.
Yeah, he was doing Dino.
He said, I thought this character, the handsome guy, who's cold-blooded, would be off-putting. But the uglier and meaner I made him, the more people liked him. And that's where I feel that Jerry Lewis discovered Trump.
Interesting. Buddy Love.
Buddy,
Yeah. Buddy Love. But I walked by the Trump...
The same amount of syllables. Donald Trump.
I walked by a Trump building today, and I just, it just brought up some
feelings of love.
I just can't even stand. It's at the point where I just can't even. I was going to ask you originally when I was thinking about what we were going to initially. Also, I knew we were going to talk about Kate Shuffle, but the .com. Check out the website.
Thank
you. But I thought maybe start by talking about. Are going to be watching the State of the Union.
Is that back on?
Well, yeah, sure. That was part of the deal. She's, if they opened the government, then they would re-invite him into doing so. Yes, he's definitely doing that.
Tomorrow night?
I'm not sure if it's tomorrow. I haven't heard. I haven't checked it's supposed to be tomorrow night.
Oh, okay.
It was originally supposed to be, so I don't see why it wouldn't be tomorrow night.
Well,
but my gosh.
I know without even watching that the State of the Union is terrific.
It's the best State of the Union.
The best State of the Union ever
done. Ever done.
Right. Well, I think that's all I have time for today.
Okay. It's a good place to end things. This has been lovely. Let's do another one again when maybe not wait 2 or 3 years, but we can do it when the film is done and it's out there.
Excellent.
We'll whether it's through a festival or going into theaters or whatever it goes, we'll time it around that.
Great.
See, and you'll be with Kate.
Great. Sounds great.
Okay.
All right.